Namaskar. Continuing with 16 points, it is the point number 7. Food, the diet. We are literally composed of what we are consuming. What we eat, so we become. We are what we eat, both physically and mentally. The physical food that we consume, the solid, the liquid, the aerial, the luminous factors, all of those become the cells within our body and influence our mind. And also what we eat, what we consume in the mental sphere also become our personality. But about that we can talk some other time. So yoga prescribes a certain diet which is beneficial for both body and mind. The food which is beneficial for body and mind is termed as sattvic food. Sattvic, or good food, sentient food. Sentient means the energy that gives the quality of sentience, like a sentient being. Human being is a sentient being, the being which is aware of his existence, aware of himself. So the food which is dominated by energy, which gives this quality of sentience to the mind, is called sattvic food. Sattvic food is beneficial for both body and mind. This is the definition. If something is harmful, it cannot be called sattvic. According to yoga, there are three energies, the three energies of nature. And those energies, they are expressed in everything. For example, in this stick, there is three energies: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. In this leaf, there are three energies. In this mosquito, in this air, everywhere the energies are dominating. Actually, every object differs from each other according to the domination of certain energies. The energy, it is considered that the consciousness is getting shape due to influence of energy. So in yoga, we believe that everything is a metamorphosed, condensed form of consciousness. Consciousness is the same, but the degree of influence of different modes of energies is different. It's just, for example, the water is flowing and the energy is there. The temperature is above zero, so it is flowing. If you make it below zero, under the normal atmospheric pressure, it will become solid. Or if you make it above 100 degrees Celsius, it will boil and will become gaseous. Water is the same, but the energy is different, so the appearance is also different. So yogi believe, and it is also a practical experience of all of us, that every substance is dominated by those energies. And when you consume certain substances, when you consume certain foods, they influence your mind also. And in a practical way, due to the many years of, actually hundreds of years of experimentations, yogis figured out that there are some very beneficial foods for the mind and for the body. There are some neutral, and then there are some harmful also. The food which is harmful either for the body or for the mind is considered to be tamasic. Tamasic means static, or the dark food, the food of darkness. And then there is rajasic, red food. Red means the energy is red, dynamic, moving. So one food keeps you in a state of sentiency, in a state of calmness. Another one keeps you also in a state of, not in a calmness, but in a state of staticity. You become immobile, you become inert. You don't have that, like in childhood, we are all very dynamic. But as we grow, and especially if the food is not very proper, we become static. We don't want to move anywhere. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to learn something. We don't want to expand our mind. We don't want to understand things deeper. We are constricted with the very solid boundaries in the mind. If this is the case, it means the body and mind is dominated by the static principle. And then this energy gives you the sentiency of peace. You are in peace and you are aware and you are very conscious. This one gives you the sleep of inertia. And the third energy makes you to move from this state to this and from this state to this. So jumping from one state to another is the third energy. So there are three energies, and the food is categorized through those three energies. Yogi is advised to take only sattvic or sentient diet, the food which is beneficial for both body and mind, and that is the fruits, the vegetables, except for garlic and onion, the grains, bread, sugar is also okay, the sweet. Of course, the sugar, there are some problems with sugar, but the moderate amounts of sugar, especially the natural sugar, is very good. The honey, the dairy products, all of this dairy products, also some problems are there nowadays because of the way how we produce the milk products. But traditionally, milk was considered as a very beneficial diet, both in Indian system and in Chinese systems. It is very nutritious and is beneficial for the mind, especially when you do advanced stages of yoga and your nervous system requires boost. It requires the strengthening, the fat which originates from the milk products, from the dairy products, is very much helpful to grow a proper nervous system for the yoga. So these foods are considered to be sentient foods. Then tamasic foods, the dark food, the energy of death, is meat, fish, alcohol, tobacco, all kinds of poisons. They are dark foods. Tobacco, drugs, the different substances, cannabis also. Nowadays everybody is for legalizing and decriminalizing, which is okay, not to put people to prison for that, but we should not actually make it another problem in society, because those substances are not very good for health and not good for the mind. So yeah, different intoxicants, meat, fish, and then pay attention, garlic and onion. Many times people ask, what's wrong with garlic and onion? I don't know what's wrong. From ethical standpoint, nothing wrong. But from the standpoint of consciousness, it's very much wrong. If you take even a little bit of garlic, the mind will become very dull. Those who have not experienced the longer durations of the clean food, they cannot understand. They say, no, I eat and I am very sharp, I am very intellectual. But if you try to abstain from tamasic food for at least 21 days until the new cells grow in the body, then you will see the difference. I can feel the difference immediately. If I take even a little, by mistake, somewhere something comes in the food, even a little of garlic, even a little of onion, I get this feeling of dullness in the mind. It is intellectual dullness, intuitional. Intuition is completely goes to the zero and is also emotional dullness. And I don't like that state. That's why I abstain very, very strictly from all those foods. And then there is Rajasic food in between. So the worst food, which is considered to be poisonous for a yogi, we don't take it at any cost, we avoid that food. Unless there is a certain particular prescription for the health. But nowadays I don't see the situations arising that. I don't see I don't see that ever there will be situation that you have to take those kind of foods. That now we can find so many different substitutes for those. So the darkest foods are meat, fish, alcohol, different intoxicants, garlic, onion, and also mushroom. And then here we have grains, vegetables, fruits, honey, dairy products, the rest of the foods. And then in the middle we have this dynamic food, which creates the desire either to become a saint or go to all the bad things. It makes the mind wander from one side to another. That is coffee, cacao, chocolate, carbonated drinks like Coca-Cola, etc. So those foods are considered to be Rajasic. And those foods maybe in moderate amounts. For some beginner practitioners it is okay, but if you are very serious with yoga practice, it is better to avoid the lower categories of food, tamasic food and rajasic food, and keep only the sentient food. Our body is just like a parliament. The parliament is there is a chamber of commons, there is a chamber of lords, and there is a king or queen there on top. So we are, we consider ourselves individuums, but we are not individuums. We are actually composed of many parts. Many individuum means undivided, something which is like a whole. But I, as a person, I am not only the microcosm, I am not only the soul, but I am also the body. And in the body there are trillions of different cells, and each of those cells has a small little voice, a small little instinct. And according to the nature of that cell, that voice will be pushing you either towards the spiritual practice and to the sublime ideology, to the sublime ideas, to the high ideals in life, or that little voice of the cell will push you towards degeneration. Then there is this chamber of lords, it's just like a heart, is one particular organism, and there is a kidney, is another kind of organism. Actually, if you remove the kidney and you put it in the nutrients environment, it can still live on. It's just like a being, just like an animal, and it has its certain instinct, it has certain nervous system, and it has certain desires also. So all those voices of the cells, of the organs, they all merge, and then they give resultant desire. So when people consume tamasic food, the cells are born from that food. They have a particular inclination towards the crudeness. You decided to sit in meditation, but your cells, your body decided, no, let us better sleep. You decided to read a spiritual book, not let us better sleep, or let us better drink some beer. So when you consume that kind of food, it creates the desire for that type of energy, because the cells are accustomed to that kind of energy. It is my personal experience, an experience of many people whom I observe. If you, for example, you become vegetarian, but you still keep onion and garlic, occasionally you will have desire to still eat meat, to still eat, drink some alcohol, and some not sentient, some crude inclinations in the mind, they will still be there. So it is advised, once you move from one mode of energy to another, just move there. Forget everything of that. Cut out meat, fish, alcohol, smoking, onion, garlic, everything. Leave it. Maybe you will struggle for 21 days, but once the cells of the body has been replenished, one cell lives about 21 days, and then new cells will be born. The new cells made out of different kind of food. You will have different kind of personality, and you will have different kinds of desires. So it is advised to shift from one energy to another energy, and it will be very, 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 very helpful for meditation. It will be very helpful for relationships, especially for children. You know, the adults, we can control ourselves. I feel anger, I will suppress myself and I hold it, but the child cannot do that. So children, they're very transparent what they eat. If they eat tamasic food, they behave in a tamasic way because they cannot control themselves. They express negative emotions. When they eat sentient food, they're so beautiful. They express a very joyful, very light emotions. So it is very, very noticeable in children. If adults, we can be hypocrites, we can show some other face while feeling something else. Children cannot do that. So by observing the children, the effect of diet on children, you can also make your conclusions. And in yourself, I just advise you, you try to abstain from the foods I mentioned, the dark food, and do it for 21 days, and then you will see. And normally, nobody wants to come back to that kind of diet, especially when combined with meditation. Sometimes, if people by force, by the feel force, they forsake, they leave that kind of diet and they move to some other diet, but the mind still is in darkness, then they have still some pulling, calling towards that experience of that diet. But once you do meditation and you abstain from that food, the moment comes that you don't want. Even somebody will offer you, you'll say, no, I don't want to eat this, because you don't perceive it as food anymore. You don't like that. So, and it is very nice. It has better smell. Your body will have much better smell. It's very, very noticeable when you do yoga class and the beginners come who are not vegetarian, who are not following the proper diet. There is a heavy smell actually emitted from the bodies. But when advanced practitioners they do, even there are many people in the room, you don't feel any smell. It's very, very, very light. The good atmosphere is there. So it is very good for health. It is very good for the mind. And for thousands of years, yogi have been living this way. They have been prescribing this sentient diet. So thank you very much. I hope it is. If you have any questions, you please write in the comments. Let us have some discussion. Namaskar.